Welcome to Coach Dave Academy. This is Suellio Almeida. We're going to see my lap with the Porsche 911 Cup car at Bathurst. We're going to see the entire lap, and then we're going to break down corner by corner. Alright, so going into the lap now, we get T1, which is a proper corner, you know, a normal, regular 90 degrees corner. And this is going to actually be rare in this track. We're going to brake somewhere in between the 150. I would say probably more or less closer to the 100 actually. So as you can see, let's see here. I'm already starting to brake. And if we see that from here, that's definitely close to 100, but that's my initial pressure. My peak pressure is more or less in between, so 75. But be careful with that. We have a reference for the initial pressure. We have a reference for the peak pressure. I prefer to use the peak pressure reference because there is this build-up time that you actually travel some good 10-20 meters between the initial pressure and the peak pressure. So just make sure you know which one you are choosing to use as a reference. I prefer to get my peak pressure, let's say, in between those two braking zones. We're going to brake quite well on a straight line. We wait, fourth, third, okay. So way a little bit after third, you see I go to fourth, third, now I turn. So I don't turn especially, like specifically when I get to third gear. I go to third, I wait a little bit, and then I turn. So this is the timing. I like listening to the engine, listening to the gear that I'm at right before I turn in, so I can have a more precise choice of speed and also sensation of speed. Then we're gonna turn in. We don't want to attack too much the curb. As you can see, I'm just visiting the curb, not really using it. I'm mostly just using the white line, as you can see. So not a lot of the curb there. It's a kind of a high curb that sends you into bouncing, and you can't really properly apply the throttle on exit. Then on exit, we're going to be a little bit careful here because we have some good grip right here, but after that, now we're kind of falling on a micro crest. You know, we have a little bit less grip towards the exit, so there is a difference in traction from the point you are starting to accelerate versus here. So just make sure you see, even here I'm doing some corrections, and then you can really use all this curb here. The car deals well with the curb, and then you have enough time to just come back slightly without actually getting this grass. Then we go here on the left, coming into the mountain section, my braking reference is somewhere between, and you can see that I like choosing more than one reference, and I brake on that range, you know, so I can really have the room to adapt instead of choosing one spot and then trying to brake at the same spot. Sometimes the car has less fuel, sometimes you have more grip, sometimes you are on cold tires where you have a little bit better longitudinal grip and so on. So I like choosing two references because of that. As you can see, I'm gonna brake here. So let's see where this is. Yeah, right in between the 100 and the access road, and my peak pressure pretty much right before or at the beginning of the access road, little access road here that we have. Then we're gonna wait a little bit for the car to stop. A little bit of rear locking there because of a bumpy area. Then starting to turn in on fourth gear, then patiently realizing that when we cross from the outside to the inside, there's gonna be more grip because this inside has a lot of camber. Then I go to third gear and I'm really asking for lots of rotation here. The car really, you know, grips. And then as soon as I see that the car has rotated a good bit, let's say more or less 50% of the corner, I smash the power and I allow the car to start unwinding that rotation, just controlling that oversteer, because the car kind of wants to rotate more. So you're just like with very light hands allowing the car to flow to the outside. Be careful here, there's a dip, and then we hit the curb. Now boom, we hit the curb. So the grip is always changing. You have to pay attention to that and really, you know, control the car based on where it is, instead of just thinking the corner is one single thing. It's not. It changes all the time depending on where the car is. Then go for the next corner. We're going to turn in before we brake into this first little corner. And at this first apex, this is actually just the braking zone for the actual corner that's coming up, the next left-hander. So start braking here, and then I wait for the car to stop a little bit. Third gear, feeling the car stopping, and then second gear, we're trying to turn. You will see that actually at this point, we can see these purple lights on the dash. That means I'm locking the front. So I was a little bit too hot into the corner. I locked the fronts a little bit, and I'm really trying my best to get to as close as possible to the wall, but I ended up missing this apex. So you can see how much I missed. That's a pretty good deal there. Probably I lost a full tenth by missing this corner, but because I was really on the limit and I got a decent exit, it was totally fine. It was still a good lap. So now going back to the cockpit, here we have lots of grip. So we get back on power where we still have the grip, right? Nice, nice, nice. But now, if we look more or less to the end of this blue wall, we see that we cannot see the entire track. We cannot see the white line. The white line here on the right, it's actually disappearing there. Why is that? Because the track is actually falling, and it's a blind exit. That means we do not have grip. If we don't have the grip, we have to be careful, because at this point now the car is going to be falling and there's going to be no connection with the track. You have to relax your hands, allow the car to go kind of straighter on the part where you don't have the grip, and then where the grip is regained, you can bring the car more to the left to prepare the next little kink to the right. So here, allowed the car to go straight. Now I come back a little bit to the left, and I'm gonna change direction before the little bump that we're gonna find in 3, 2, 1. This is the bump. So this little bump here, if we try to rotate too much by the time we're landing after the bump, there's a big chance that you're gonna spin. So make sure you're doing what I did here. You bring the car to the left a little bit, and then you try to cross the bump almost straight. It's impossible to be completely straight, but you want to be turning as little as possible on top of the bump, so you have a safe jump without losing the rear. And go to the outside here, completely using the outside. As you can see, we have this white line that makes us kind of deceives us to not using all the track, but you actually have to put the car all the way to the Fujitsu wall here, and then turn in quite late. Be careful not to turn in too early and end up hitting this little curb here. This is going to turn you to the left, and you're gonna hit this wall. It's very common, very dangerous to, very easy to happen. So we turn in quite late, little lift, and again, we can't see the curb. We see the curb there, and then it's kind of disappears. Why it disappears? Because we are falling. So if we're falling, we have no grip. You definitely want to allow the car to flow slightly because it's falling, it's sliding, it's not connecting. And then you see, as a consequence, we are as close as possible to the wall here as well. So use the walls properly, you know. You want to allow the car to go very close, but with understanding that there are crests and compressions and the car is drifting in and out of the grip areas. Then after this, again, blind, but this is totally fine. You just need to know where you're placing your car for the next corner, which is that left-hander there after the end of the black wall. So here we allow the car to use pretty much, again, as close as possible to the wall, then a little bit of brake, a little bit of like lifting and brake to allow the car to point more. Then we get back on power. I actually hit this wall, this curb a little bit too much. We're not supposed to hit it that much. You'll see what happens is that when I land, I lost the rear a little bit there and I had to make some corrections. So this is not good for the tires. I didn't lose that much time, but doing that for an entire race will destroy your tires and you're not going to have enough tires. Well, you will have, but you're just going to have a lot less performance by the end of this the race. And then for the second left-hander right after that, again, we have no vision of what's coming up. So my reference here is actually this curb. At the beginning of the curb, I already started to turn. At this point, I'm still looking to the curb. I can't see anything because it's blind. But as soon as I start turning that, I start looking. We can see. Then I look at the next curb, the apex curb, and then I'm patiently waiting for the compression. The compression now is going to make the car turn. So it makes the car turn well, a little bit of correction here and there. And then right here, we start getting less grip. So the car starts falling to the right. You have to understand, you have to remember that there's going to be more grip here at the compression than here at the exit. That's why most people actually go to the outside here, because they expect the car to have exactly the same grip during the entire corner, but the grip is changing with the elevation changes. Next corner, we have exactly the same thing. It's blind, so we have a lot less grip on entry. On the place it's blind, we're not gonna have grip. So what I do is I bring the car as early as possible, totally to the outside, and I'm already turning. Look at how early I'm turning into the corner. It even looks like I'm going to hit the wall based on where my steering is pointed, you see? But that does not happen. As soon as I start turning, the car starts falling. Okay, it's falling. It's falling, so it refuses to turn because it has no grip. And I'm really putting the car as close as possible to this wall here. Now we're gonna land. We landed. Now I'm gonna brake a little bit harder on a straight line, and then we release the brakes and we go on top of the curb. Not too much brakes on top of the curb because you don't want to lock up the front tires. Then we bring a little bit more to the left. We are aligned. We brake hard again. Well, not too hard. 50%. We're downhill. Then we turn in. We kind of double apex this one. First apex out. Now coming back to the inside. Tiny bit of throttle because there is a little bit of time to get back on power. And then brake again. Just trail brake to point the car. And same thing, because there's a jump there. I want to turn the car quite early. The car is going to start jumping now. And it really disconnects from the track and kind of slides to the side, which allows you to not hit the wall. And then here we get back on power. There's a compression. Then here we're falling a little bit. There's no grips. Car is still like floating, and then it grips again. So it's like grip, no grip, grip, no grip, grip, no grip all the time. You have to understand the timing. You have to feel the timing of where the car is bouncing, where the grip is, so you don't, for example, get back on power super aggressively on a place where you don't have the grip. Then for the next corner here, what I want to do is turn a little bit, then trail brake just to keep the car on the right. Trail brake, trail brake, trail brake. Okay, now you align to the braking zone. We're kind of pointing to the inside already because the inside has more grip because of the camber. And then we're braking. We're braking, we wait, we wait, we wait, we wait, we wait. Not braking too hard. This is very, very ungrippy. And then we're turning in quite early. I'm looking at the high part of the wall here. And I want to get back on power at the end of the high part. Around here, You see that I actually got back on power a little bit too early, so I was just correcting. I got back on power, then I lifted. Okay, now this is my actual throttle point. Accelerate a lot more aggressively this point if we have lots of grip, because it's a compression on the exit, and then we go all the way to the outside. Then we go for the 2 last corners. This one is amazing for braking because basically there's so much grip here because of the compression that you can brake pretty hard. I brake 90% and I maintain. I wait 5th gear, 4th gear. I'm probably gonna turn in on 3rd gear, right? So 4th gear, 3rd gear. Okay, now I start churning. The car has slowed enough. I want to miss this curb here. We want to be as close as possible to this curb, but miss it. And then there was it. That was nice. And then get back on power. This part we have no grip, so we let the car fall slightly. We wait for the car to regain the grip, and then when we change direction to the right, we have a little bit of grip, but not that much. Here the car is still like kind of hot because of the corner before, so you don't have that much grip on the rears. And then you get back on power. You don't want to pull the car too much to the right. Allow it to flow to the curb. Otherwise, if you pull it while being flat out, you may lose the rear as well. And then you allow it to hit. I ended up hitting it a little bit too aggressive, so I had to make this kind of correction there, but it was all good. And then for the last corner, I'm gonna brake at the 100. That's pretty much on 100. And then 3rd, turn in 2nd gear. It's a little bit tighter than the 1st corner. And then we want to barely miss this curb. We don't want to use the inside curb, not at all. And then we get back on power. Just some corrections here. Car is wanting to rotate, but I'm, as always, just letting it flow to the outside. And then we finalize the lap. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next week. Bye.